Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. Welcome to my channel once more. Those of you that have subscribed previously, you are most welcome. Those that are new, you are also most welcome. If you are new, then please don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notification of any videos that I produce. So as you can see, I am back at the railway station today, and the purpose is to really show you some of the buildings and the properties that the Crossleys created. So it's an awful lot to cover walking wise, so I've decided to get into a car. So I've asked a family member to help, and we will be driving to show you some of the buildings, some of which are in town and I have shown previously, and some we will be going out of town. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and then start our journey. Okay viewers, so we're going to leave the railway station now, and when we get to the end we are turning right, which of course is winding road. So if you remember, on this side we have our iconic Eureka, and I will point out the landmarks again. So to the right of us is Square Chapel, so which of course the Crossleys helped to build. So seeing as we are stopped, so I'll remind you that ahead of us was one of the entrances to the Peace Hall via Horton Street. So remember, there's the Imperial Hotel there, and to the left of us, this street is called Church Street, but we're actually going right, which is Winding Road. So if you remember, this red building is called Church Square, and behind it is a spire which used to be part of Square Church. So the Square Chapel now used as an art centre. So the entrance to the Peace Hall, there we have the Industrial Museum. So this is where the wool shops are, and of course the parking area for that. As we progress further up Winding Road, I think I did remind you of this street, which is called Gold Lane, and presently used as a distribution centre by the post office. If we look on the right, some old inns, and just to remind you, there is Zion Sunday School. So we're coming towards the end of Winding Road, and we're going to turn left here into Broad Street. So once again, I was expecting less traffic, but unfortunately so I think we need to be in the left-hand lane, and we're going to go straight up. So on this side, if you remember, is Market Street, and of course down here is the bus station, and the rest down there the council complex, and of course Trinity Sixth Form. A lot of these buildings didn't exist in my youth. I remember some terraced properties on this. So we are now passing the town hall, and what I wanted to show you is Crossley Street, which is behind that. So if I remind you of some of these areas, so this road here leads to the roundabout, which is called Orange Street roundabout, and that of course goes on to the carriageway. I do keep talking about the carriageway, and I don't know whether I've mentioned its name. It's actually called Burdock Way, and part way towards King Cross, which I will eventually show you, it has a twinning name called Arkan Way. So as we turn left, we're going into I think it was called Washer Street, wasn't it? And sorry, Waterhouse Street. And then we're turning left here into Crossley Street. So these are the businesses and the properties that the Crossleys created with their wealth. So I have been here before, but they are absolutely splendid, as you can see. And this is Princess Street with its wonderful White Swan Hotel. So that is what I wanted to show you, and we're going to go back onto the main road again, which was of course Broad Street, but we need to follow the one-way system back onto Market Street. So sorry, there is Trinity. If you remember, down there is Wade Street, where I was earlier. So we need to go back on to Broad Street, and then we're going to make our way out of the town centre and towards one of the the main property really, where the Crossleys resided. And so in their time it was known as the Crossley Estate, and it contains a number of buildings, which is what I'm planning to show you today. So I do hope we don't have to keep stopping and make the video too long. If it does come to that, what I'll do is I'll stop and make another part of it, but I want to make the first one about 15 minutes, see where we get to in 15 minutes. So from here we do get a wonderful view of Beacon Hill up there, where we started our journey, and we are in the centre. We're going to go up this way and make our way towards Hopwood Lane, which is where the property is that I want to show you. And there's a few other buildings as well that I want to show you. So if you look ahead of you, you see Mecca. As I said, that used to be a cinema in my time, and it hasn't actually changed. All of this area used to be very different, and modern buildings are here now. So this area is called Cowgate, no doubt from the 12th or 13th century. So you will recall I was here earlier in the earlier videos, and this area is called Bull Green. So what we're going to do is turn right towards King Cross, and then there is a sharp turning towards Hopwood Lane. So if you remember, up there is the Playhouse, and of course the old Halifax Courier building. This is the start of Hopwood Lane, and what we have over here is Hopwood Hall, which, if you remember, was one of the a place where Anne Lister's friend used to live. So we are on Hopwood Lane now. So a lot of this area, this has changed. It was demolished. What you see ahead of you is the continuation of the carriageway. Some of it elevated, some of it on the ground level. So there's iconic buildings here, such as the L.C. Whiteley building. So we're going to go about 600 meters further up, and then we're going to stop there, and then I will describe the buildings for you. So this area is very special to me, because this is the area where I spent most of my childhood, and so I am very, very familiar with this area. Okay, so as you can see, there are some buildings here which I'm going to describe. So viewers, I've stopped at this point for a short while just to show you this road. It's called Park Road, and what it contains is one of the parks that the Crossleys bestowed for the town. It is quite a large park, so I think I'll leave that as a video all in itself, possibly 2 videos, because there is a lot to see. So we have the park on one side, and we have these wonderful Victorian houses on the other side. So all of this area, this and the buildings that you see over there, which I'm going to describe later, are part of the Crossley estate. So what I'm going to do is walk further up, and then from there show you their residence. Okay viewers, this is the first building that I wanted to show you. This is the residence that the Crossleys built for themselves, or certainly one of the sons lived here, whose name was Francis Crossley, and then he eventually did become a knight as well, so he's known as Sir Francis Crossley. So as you can see, it is a splendid mansion. It's now a private residence and also used as a wedding venue. So splendid gardens. Okay, so obviously I can't go in. I would only go in unless I was invited or there was a wedding. So if I pan right over here, so we have the rest of Hopwood Lane, and then there's another entrance to the park. So this building has memories for me, because in my time the local authority had use of the building, and they used it as a library. So it is quite a large area in itself. So looking at this and looking at the park, and there are other areas further up that I'm going to show you as well, you can appreciate the wealth that the Crossleys had. So going back to this library, this side where that main door is there, used to be what's called the reference section, that contained newspapers, and also what's called an archive section, which had old newspapers and magazines. And next to that was the children's library, which is what I used to frequent, and on the other side it was the main library. Okay viewers, I'm going to go further down and show you further buildings. So I've just stopped along the way to show you another entrance to what is now known as Crossley House. But as I say, in my time it used to be called Bellevue. So as you can see here, a splendid entrance, and you can imagine the regal horse and carriages going up and down, carrying the noble or the nobility. But I do think they were quite humble people. Okay, so as you can see, there are other buildings here which I'm going to describe once I get to the other side. Okay guys, so this street is called Margaret Street, and what it contains is these houses which are known as Alms houses. So as you can see, sign there, Sir Francis Crossley's Alms houses, and what that is essentially is old people's residence. Okay, so we have a sign up there telling us when these were built in 1855. Okay, so some wonderful examples of that period in the Victorian age. So they are private grounds, but if I get a chance I will show you more wherever there is an opening. So we have a gate here obviously for the residents, and then on this side there are some really nice Victorian houses, okay, which again have a lot of significance for me, because a lot of the families that live here, my family either knows still or did when I was a child. So I've stopped once again, viewers, to show you another entrance and to show you more of the architecture. Okay, so as you can see there are various inscriptions up there. Bye-bye. Okay, so as I say, there's a nice quote up there. I can't really make it out. I think it says, "Have of thine own we given thee." Okay, which I guess shows the the charitable work that the Crossleys carried out. Okay, viewers, so I am now stood at the end of Margaret Street, which if you were to research it, is the name of Francis Crossley's wife. So as I pan across, what you see there is some new houses, what we call social housing. So this area has really deep significance for me, because as I said, these houses were built in the 90s, but we used to live here in the late 60s and 70s, and there were Victorian houses that were built in the 1830s, but then deemed uninhabitable, so they were demolished, and we had to move out, and we moved to another house further up Hopwood Lane. So I'm going to carry on my journey and go further up this road, which I don't think I've said is called Lister Lane. So if I look down there, you might just be able to make the carriageway, and of course on the other side you can see the greenery of the Beacon Hill, and of course Lister Lane starts right at the bottom there and it carries on right to the top. So I'm going to start filming again further up, which shows more of the Crossley estate. So we get a better view of the Alm houses further up Lister Lane. So as I say, this area contained other streets that our friends used to live, and what you see in the background is the dome of the large Jamia Mosque Masjid of Halifax. So I'm going to carry on walking up Lister Lane to show you some of the other buildings that are here. I'm on the other side of Crossley House now, viewers. As you can see, there is a large gate to keep people out or people in, but this is the splendid Crossley House as it is now, or Bellevue that it was in my time. Okay, so I'm going to carry on going further And I do actually want to show you this area here, which I don't know whether you can see, is actually a graveyard. So I'm further up Lister Lane now. So as you can see, the boundary of Crossley House finishes there, but all this area used to belong to the Crossleys, and the building that you see there is or used to be a church, but is now used as a school. I will go around the other side to show you, so you can see the spire of it there. So it starts on this side and extends right through. But this is the other place that I wanted to film today. It is known as Lister Lane Cemetery, and as you can see, it has various other points of interest. So it is a Commonwealth war grave, and it contains the graves of many famous people from Halifax, and that's what really I'm going to show you when we get inside. Okay viewers, so I'm going to go inside the cemetery now and show you some of well, the graves and some of the information that there is. So this cemetery contains a number of graves from the Crossley family over the various years, and as you enter the cemetery there is a plaque here that tells you an awful lot of information about the Crossleys, some of which I have told you. So the senior Crossley was known as John, and then his sons Joseph, Francis, and sorry, these are the three sons. We're not told about the senior members. So if we look on here, we have the dates of birth of the various people or famous people that are within the cemetery. So the graveyard does contain the graves of many other people who played a part during the sort of the Industrial Revolution and the industrial years of Halifax. So here we see the names of some famous people that are here. So as you can see, quite a number of them were in the House of Lords, and then there are some ordinary people as well. But just looking at some of the pictures, some of them go back to the Battle of Waterloo and other major events. So if you are interested, you can come and have a look at this at your leisure. Right, this plaque is rather difficult to read, I'm afraid. But of course, the other thing that Halifax is famous for is the Halifax Building Society, or the Halifax Mutual as it used to be known. And here we have some information about some of the patrons who are buried in this cemetery. So this was really the main purpose of me coming to this cemetery, guys. So it's to show you the graves of the early Crossleys. So as you can see, we have Martha Crossley there, who was the mum of the three sons, and then you can see some of the other graves that are here, including of course Joseph, okay. So we have the names of all the Crossleys that are here, some of which are actually quite recent. So we have Charles Graham Crossley there in 1994. So although they were no longer involved with the carpet industry, they obviously went to other areas and are buried in this plot that is on Lister Lane Cemetery. Then on another side of the cemetery we have this other extremely interesting plaque of information that actually tells you some of the sad and horrible deaths that occurred from the time that the cemetery was built. And as you can see, there were various people killed in wars, and then people who died in an accident, and of course murders and suicides. So something else for you to come and discover. So as I pan across viewers, you can see there are thousands of graves over the last 150 years, and right at the top of the cemetery is this building, which unfortunately is now derelict, but in its time it used to be a chapel, or I think they're called chapels of repose, where no doubt the coffins were laid and services held and then buried in the appropriate places. So viewers, I came here just to film, but I'm so lucky that Mr. David Glover was actually here, and I'm going to ask him to say a few words about the significance of this cemetery. He is the chair of the Friends of Lister Lane Cemetery. So over to you, David. Can you tell us a bit more about the cemetery, please?
Well, of course, I don't know how much, whether you'll have even heard of Lister Lane Cemetery, viewers, but here we are in a Victorian cemetery which thrived from 1841 right up to the 1960s, and nearly 20,000 people lie buried here. Nearly all of them lived in Halifax at one time or close by, and they came from all classes of society. There were people who were poor, there were people who were rich, and there were people in between. Some of them had no monument at all, they're just buried under the grass with no name at all. But we have a list of everybody who's buried here, 19,000 so many hundred, and the number of graves is about 4,500. The cemetery was closed in 1963 and it fell into disrepair, and it became almost a no-go area with no gates. Little things happened here which one might say were minor crime, and it became absolute mess. And in the year 2000, a group of friends was formed to try and bring the cemetery back from its ruin. I've only been involved for a short time, comparatively a little over half that time, since 2007. But we're trying very hard to create, as you may have seen, a learning zone, but also a lovely garden, and maintain the landscape. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. If you'd like to help us, we're looking for volunteers to help with light gardening duties, and we can arrange for group tours. You can contact us through our website. We also run a Twitter account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Okay, viewers, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go further up Lister Lane and show you the view from there. So I have now come out of the cemetery, and we're going to go further up Lister Lane. So viewers, I'm further up Hopwood Lane now, Lister Lane now, and I've just stopped at this point because I want to show you this street, which once again contains some wonderful Victorian buildings, and I don't know whether you can read that, but the street is named after Sir Francis. It is called Francis Street. So it extends from this side, which is called Gibbet Street, right through the other side. This, as we say, as I've told you, is Lister Lane. Then we have Hopwood Lane, on which was Crossley House, and right through to the other side, which is called Pelham Lane. So I've stopped again, viewers, because I just love some of these buildings. This used to be a nursing home, but is now used as a masjid by Al Jamia Al Zahra, and then on that side we have more splendid buildings, and I will show you a better view of this, but this is the courtyard of the church, which is one of the churches, of course, that the Crossleys built. So viewers, I've come to the end of today's journey, and I'm sorry I've taken a little bit longer than usual, but I did want to show, you know, the buildings that I have shown. So this is the church that is on the corner of the Crossley estate. It in my time it used to be known as Park, I think it's called United Reformed Church. Okay, so as you can see, it has a splendid spire and then some other buildings underneath, and I think it is still used as a church. So the grounds that you see here are again significant for me, because this is part of Calderdale College, and this car park used to house the building that I studied in as a student. And unfortunately I can't remember the name of the building. If anybody does, then please tell me in the comment section. So if we look further this way, as you can see behind you is a continuation of the college, but in former times, or in my time, it used to be a girls' grammar school. So as you can see, I am on the corner of Francis Street, and this is Hopwood Lane, and as we go right to the end, it is Parkinson Lane. And of course all these places have significance for me, and I will try and make videos in future about the area. So that brings us to the end of today's journey. I do hope that you've enjoyed what I have shown you. So until the next time, which will be to show you the park and other Crossley buildings, I will say goodbye. Please do share and subscribe to the channel. Look after yourselves, look after others. अपना ख्याल रखना, दूसरों का ख्याल रखना. सबको सलाम. अल्लाह हाफिज़.